Okay, so I recently came across some new information to me, and since I came across it, I do feel different. So there are books throughout history that have alluded to the idea that the Kabbalistic system used by the Jewish people and some others was first stolen from the Druids and other such cultures, and then corrupted into a new system that really lacks wisdom. Now, one of the books that alluded to this was The Great Jewish Mask, otherwise known as The Ass in the Lion's Suit, or something like that. It was a pamphlet that was distributed with an unknown author, but it is clearly someone who has a vast knowledge of ancient history, and they go through in great detail how this system was stolen from previous cultures and sort of mashed together to create what is now known as Kabbalism, which is under a system known as Atonism to a lot of people. Now, basically, there was a split in Egypt between Atonism and Armanism. Atonism being an extreme hierarchical system like the one that we live in today, Armanism being a more holistic system. People call Atonism a corruption of sun worship that still goes on today. Right, so the book The Great Jewish Mask goes through all this in great detail. Also in the protocols, they talk about the suppression of genius. Now, genius is anyone who manages to operate outside of this system. And the protocols points out very clearly the importance of the suppression of any of the arrival of genius, and how dangerous that it can be to their system. So ultimately, they stole from the Druids, the Persians, the Phoenicians, the Babylonians, Sumerians, and Egyptians. They merged it all down to Atonism. So I'll provide a few examples of evidence for this. If we look at the Phoenician language and I compare it to ancient Hebrew, you will see that it's the same language. So there's a obvious connection right there that's indisputable. Then we have the story of the biblical story of the Jews escaping from Egypt with Moses, and begins their legacy. And I think there's a lot more to that story than the Bible has to offer. But I'm sure it's all encoded in the Bible, but I will not go into that. Now, I've mentioned before in a previous video, why there's so many fucked up people walking around, that we are essentially under a system of black magic, and I explained that in the monetary system, what is known as compound interest, usury. But we are actually under an entire system of black magic. It's not just financial, it extends to all aspects of life, including spirituality. And that it is an entire magical system, this Kabbalism. And for those who don't believe in magic, they don't believe in the Kabbalah, they think all this stuff's a bunch of woo and bullshit. Well, yeah, of course your skepticism is certainly understandable. But your rejection of the truth is not. So we even have a card that represents you in the tarot. Card number 0, the Fool. He represents innocence. If you reject the truth, then you become ignorance. And then you begin to descend into the lower realms. The Fool is tabula rasa, a blank canvas. He knows nothing. He has all to learn and many mistakes to make along the way. This is the beginning. Even the wisest sage began here, and so will you. How far you progress is up to you. Now, yeah, for those who don't believe in magic and they don't have any background to this, I'll just drop a few bombshells on you. So we talk of the Abrahamists, Abrahamism. Where the fuck does Abraham come from? Well, how many of you have heard of abracadabra? Everyone knows that, right? Abracadabra, rabbit out of a hat. So abracadabra, directly related to magic. You know that. Everyone knows that. A child knows that. Well, Abraham, abracadabra. What is abracadabra? Well, here it is expressed in a magic book, a grimoire. I'm not going to go into all of that. You'll just see that it forms a triangular shape. So abracadabra is this big triangular shape. Well, here's the tetragrammaton, otherwise known as Yahweh, the central figure to the Abrahamists, the center of all their magic. So it's a triangle, right? Well, here's that same triangle in some churches. Here it is on the $1 bill of the strongest economy that controls the world. Here it is on intelligence agencies. Here's a great picture of those agencies with and their connection to things like Facebook. And here's occult symbolism throughout the celebrity world, which is run by the same people. I have noticed that there are, you may think back, into the past at some of the videos I've made, where I talked about two particular girls who seemed to be misleading people en masse, and that people were falling for their sneaky tricks, right? So I pointed the finger. Well, you'll notice those two girls don't seem to be around anymore, right? They're just fucking up. One just gone, the other has retired or some shit. So, okay. So I'm making this video because I have recently come across some information that is completely new to me, put out by some occultists that are here on the internet. They have put forward information that explains this corruption on an occult level in a way that it can be understood, in a way that it can be explained. So they explain the correct system, the original system, they explain alternative systems, and they explain the corrupted system. They explain the whole picture and how it works and why. And from everything that I understand about such topics, they are correct. It all checks out. I don't feel anything they're saying is dodgy, or I'm not skeptical about what they're saying. I'm quite amazed by the clarity at which they are able to put this information forward. It's quite amazing, and they are quite aware of how important this information is. So essentially, what these Kabbalists have done is inverted the number system on the tree of life. The Kabbalistic tree of life. They have inverted the number system, which puts a hex on the individual and effectively puts him energetically into duality, and he becomes the hanged man, otherwise known as stagnation, entropy. What's the most common symbol that we would see that's likened to the hanged man? Oh yes, that of Jesus Christ. Jesus is representative of the Christian, nailed to the cross, in spiritual stagnation. So what does the Christian believe? When he dies, he goes to heaven, right? So he has life and then death, and that's it. And that is the core of the hex. Because Europeans do not believe that, do we? We have life, then we have death, then we have life, then we have death, ad infinitum. The Christians don't believe that. So there is the spiritual hex in layman's terms. You all know it exists. Symbolically, Jesus is nailed to the cross, which is the symbol of the hanged man, inverted. And it is the central point of their worship. Is this not black magic? So atonism is related around the number 10, the metric system. It is the system that we all live under. We build our buildings under it. We think under this system. It governs our universe. It's interesting that America has kept the imperial system. This does allude to the idea that America was created as a free nation and has been overtaken by these Atonists. So if we look at Atonism, I'll write that out as A10, A10, Atonism, which is very interesting. And you'll also notice the A makes a hierarchical structure of a pyramid with a separated top. Oh yes. Now we'll move on to number 10 Downing Street, the center of hierarchy in finance and politics, with solar symbolism at the front. Oh yes. So just the other day, we had billionaire pedophiles getting murdered, right? Because the dogs are sniffing around his stronghold, his fucking rape temple. This shit is real, people. These motherfuckers are out there and they are harvesting the shit out of everyone's energy, and they are getting away with it. So what happened to that fucking Eggstein cunt, I have no idea. But they want us to think he's dead. So, fuck. Shit is real. I'm just going to show you some faces of these elite peoples. And when you look at these people, I want you to think of what the faces of our heroes and gods look like. Now, don't overdo this, but look into the eyes of these motherfuckers and tell me what you see. What do you really see when you just take away what you've been told about these people and just look at the eyes? But don't overdo it or you might scare yourself. Now look at these eyes, and you tell me if you see a difference. This is Atonism versus Armanism. The Abrahamists versus the Aryans. This is what it looks like. It's as fucking stark as night and day. And that's all you need. That's all you need to identify it if you're a layman. So this same black magic is the exact form that they use in usury, compound interest. I'll take it back to that Einstein quote. He who understands it uses it. He who doesn't pays it. If you are under the hex, you are probably unaware of this, right? You do not understand. And they harvest your energy. They harvest your money. They harvest your thoughts and all of it. When you join the false hierarchy, they've got you. And that's why I'm talking about this now. You all know I've been talking about the hierarchy of existence. Well, that's all leading to this. I want to expose the false hierarchy because if you join it, they have got you. You have joined the darkness. What in a clip I will show later, Thomas Sheridan has called Imperium Diabolica. Absolute evil. I mean, this is all pretty deep, but it checks out. And for those who want to go deeper, those who need a deeper understanding, this is it. This is their system, and you can understand it. You can also understand the opposite of their system, which is the original Druidic system. And then there is another system that we all know of called Yggdrasil, the true tree of life, the uncorrupted, pure tree of life. And in no way does this deflect from what Varg and Marie talk about with the placenta, reincarnation, and all of that. So Varg's system is a more accessible system with, real world language that most people should be able to understand on some level. But for those who want to go deeper, those who need symbols, schematics, and a deeper understanding, there is Yggdrasil. There is the original occult form. And there are people studying it. So I'm just putting it out there. This is a new system to me. And this is all very interesting. I do feel a change in energy after being exposed to this information. For those who are overwhelmed by all this, there is no need to be. This stuff is not for everyone. This is for the wizards. This is for those who need to know more, who need to know things on a deeper level. But for everyone else, all that you need to know is that everything you want is outside of your comfort zone. If you stay within your comfort zone, you are under the hex. You are in stagnation and death. If you join their systems and join the false hierarchy, you are under a hex. You have sided with death. All you need to know is how to not fall for their tricks and how to stay on the right path. All you need to know about how to negotiate that situation is found within.
Becoming overwhelmed and I wouldn't say the word intoxicated, I would say poisoned by that same sense of indescribable evil. And that's what we're dealing with here, an indescribable evil. The Crusader mentality was invented to have you destroy yourself as a crusader or an activist or a freedom fighter in order to feed the Imperium Diabolica. It's as simple as that. And the Imperium Diabolica wants you angry. It wants to suck you in. Now, that doesn't mean you should be an innocent lamb. That means you are aware. You're a sheep in the field, aware of the slaughterhouse. And there's either two things going to happen here. You're going to be rescued and saved, highly unlikely, or you'll be slaughtered eventually. And until you're slaughtered, you enjoy being in the field. We've got to wake up the sheep, man. We've got to wake up the sheep. No, you don't. But once you're awake, and you and your loved ones are safe, you've won. Now, so these things like Epstein have a double factor. One is to protect the beast, and there's no sealed indictments. There's no unsealed indictments. They don't exist. That's like the flat earth. It's a mirage. It's a chimera. It is a facade to make you believe that there is salvation. This lie that has been put into you by Rabbi Yeshua and his demon god Jehovah. You need to stop that. You need to be the serpent in the Garden of Eden. That's what you need to be, telling Eve he's a cunt. And you are not in the wilderness. You are in paradise. Where Jehovah wants you is in the Imperium Diabolica. Some chap was on the thread about Epstein and he said, the satanic elite have gotten away with it again. I said, no, my friend. And the Abrahamic elite, they're all either Christians, Jews, Muslims, or atheists. The Abrahamic elite. Because I'm an adversary of the bullshit that took place in Epstein's cell yesterday. An Abrahamic fiasco to keep you trapped in to worshipping the demon Jehovah because his bastard offspring, Rabbi Yeshua, told you if you do what he says, maybe that thing, Jehovah, won't put you in a lake of fire. And you call that a religion. No. There is no lake of fire. There is none. What you experience with this Epstein thing, this diabolical Imperium, that is the lake of fire.
You have to understand something. Everything that we think is true, almost all of it is a fucking lie. And that's the scary part of it. And it's worse than that. Our world and our reality is engineered to be disharmonic. Basically, the Kabbalistic tree of life is a fraud. It's just Jewish charlatanism. It's deception. And as I've shown in this series, it's more than just deception. It's actually a formula for stagnation and death, which is what their Kabbalistic tree is. It is the tree of stagnation and death. It is Jesus on the cross being crucified, but not in a positive way. It's destroying Kundalini. It's basically a symbol for Satanism, a symbol for atheism, as I get on to explain. But this is the story of creation using geometry, the single-digit code, and ending with the divine, glorious structure that is Yggdrasil, because this structure is glorious and beautiful. It really is.
In closing, I am here to declare that the Brotherhood of the Snake is done. The Dark Luciferians, their magic holds no power any longer. One of the things I want to solidify, which he was getting into, is everything to do with the universal tree of life. We all know now that Yggdrasil is the spindle of the universal tree of life itself. He mentioned in the last segment that it was still needing to be completed. You could take all of this back to the Walter Russell science, which he gets into in the other videos on his channel. This is very significant point in the crossroads right now. What are you going to choose for real? Are you going to continue on in the Matrix? Are you going to continue to bow to these dark brotherhoods? Or are you going to rise up, remember who the fuck you are, remember what's really going on, take your power back, work to integrate the higher consciousness through the awakening of your true soul code genetics, of your blood code genetics, everything. The ancestors of our people are crying out within the blood right now. And this is happening with every race and culture on the planet. See, here in the West, we've lost our roots. We don't even know who the fuck we are, but I'll tell you something. There is a man sitting right fucking here that knows who the fuck he is, knows what his roots are, knows what his purpose is, knows what he's fucking doing. And I want to encourage and empower everybody to truly start tapping into this and to break the spell, to break the hex of the dark magicians. These motherfuckers are crushed with all of this. Beware the flanks, and also be aware of the transfers of power that are taking place as we speak with the crystalline Syrian bees, who are far, far more vicious than the draconians themselves. I want to read you a poem out of this book that I have here on the tarot. You see this picture? And this is the 9th card in the tarot, the Hermit. A reflection of the spindle, the seed of light in the darkness. I have traveled a long way to be here in the darkness, in the womb of the world, the great cosmic display of life, death, and rebirth. Above us stars die and we are born. Planets move and the face of the universe changes forever. Beneath us the earth shifts. The worms consume decaying matter and seeds spring forth. This is the primal dance, yet to mortals it is a mystery to be sought after, delved into, like a man shining light into a dark cavern. I am the way shower of this mystery, the guide along the road you must walk if you wish for revelation. I have walked these paths myself many eons ago, and the light I shine so that you may see is merely my own wisdom. It is a small light, flickering, yet in the depths of darkness into which we are going, it might as well be the light of the sun itself. You ask why I am so alone. This is the way it must be. I must brave the darkness of eternity so that others might see the true light. I am the one upon whom all eyes rest when all else fails. I am the one who will lead you out of the wilderness and the desert into that which is promised. This light I carry is my burden and my blessing. I offer it with open hands to all, for it is the seed that will redeem the world.